To unlock the thread chain, turn the balance wheel away from you one full turn. This will release the chain. Pull the thread through for about 6 inches and cut. Knot the ends together, a quick and easy secured seam. To sew an inside corner, make a 1 centimetre or 3/8 of an inch cut diagonally into the corner of the fabric. Sew along the seam line. Before you get to the corner, stop with the needle in the fabric. Pull the fabric so that the cutting line becomes straight. Continue sewing. When finished, the pleat will disappear and the fabric will return to its original shape. To alter the stitch length, turn the stitch length dial located on the right-hand side of the machine. A lower number will give a shorter stitch length, which is suitable for finer fabrics. A higher number will give a longer stitch length, suitable for heavier fabrics. Position R is for rolled and narrow hems. To adjust the cutting width, open the looper and side covers and set the upper knife to the down position. When the width is too narrow, turn the cutting width adjusting dial clockwise. This will move the lower knife to the right, increasing the cutting width. When the width is too wide, turn the cutting width adjusting dial counterclockwise. This will move the lower knife to the left, reducing the cutting width. The model 634D is equipped with a differential feed mechanism which is designed to overcome normal serging problems. The regulating dial is located under the stitch length dial on the right of the machine. Lightweight fabrics have a tendency to contract, causing seams to pucker. When sewing a lightweight fabric, set the differential feed dial between 1 and 0.5. The front feed dog feeds less fabric under the presser foot than the rear feed dog. This creates a stretching effect which eliminates puckering. Knitted fabrics have a tendency to stretch along the sewn edge, causing the seam to wave. To sew a seam on a knitted fabric, set the differential feed dial between 1 and 2.25. The front feed dog feeds more fabric than the rear feed dog does. This creates an easing effect which gives you a straight, smooth finish. A rolled hem can add that professional look to your sewing. Use it on table linens, children's wear, swimwear, and much more. To sew a rolled hem, first open the looper and side covers. Disengage the cutting blade by pushing in the blade knob and turning it towards you until the blade locks in its lowest position. Whilst pushing in the cutting width dial, slide the needle plate setting knob to the R position. Re-engage the cutting blade. Only the right-hand needle is used for rolled hem. Remove the left-hand needle and thread. Set the stitch length dial at R. Set the lower looper pre-tension slider to the rolled hem position. Fine-tuning of the tension dials may be required depending on the fabric and thread being used. Place the edge to be sewn under the presser foot and sew. For a closer satin stitch, adjust the stitch length dial towards 1. For a more open stitch, adjust the stitch length dial towards 2. A wide variety of threads, such as woolly nylon, metallic and variegated threads, can be used in the upper looper to give a more decorative finish. To sew a narrow hem, lower the knife and set the needle plate setting knob to the rolled hem position R. Re-engage the knife. Your standard tension settings should be needle tension 3, upper looper tension 3, lower looper tension 3. But you may need to vary these settings depending on the type of fabric and thread being used. For a narrow hem, decorative threads can be used in both the upper and lower loopers, giving a reversible finish. Pin tucks are used as a decorative finish, for example on the front of a blouse or on a camisole. To sew a pin tuck, set your machine as for rolled or narrow hemming. Stitch along the fold of the fabric, keeping the fold in line with the chaining finger. Be careful not to cut the folded edge. Sew as many rows of pin tucking as you require, using the width of the presser foot as a guide. Ribbing is used for cuffs and bands on leisure and sportswear. For most garments, ribbing should be cut 1/3 smaller than the garment it's being attached to. Seam the ribbing ends together. Divide the ribbing into quarters and pin it to the garment. Because you'll be sewing in a circular manner, cut a small square of material from the seam allowance at the starting point. Place the cut up against the blade and sew around the seam, gently stretching the ribbing at the same time. Be sure to remove the pins before they reach the knife blades. To achieve a mock cuff or band, fold your hem up and back, with the fold and raw edge even. Your hem should be approximately 6 centimeters or 2½ inches. Place your fabric under the presser foot and sew, cutting off the fold. When finished, open out and press. You now have a quick and easy cuff or band. Lace is easily sewn onto lingerie and all types of ladies' wear, giving that very professional finish. To sew on lace, cut the lace to the same length as the fabric. Set the stitch length dial to 3. Now place the lace and fabric with right sides together under the presser foot and sew, trimming away the raw edges. Press the seam allowance towards the garment to give a perfect finish. Automatic gathering on fine lightweight fabrics is simple on your 634D serger. Set the differential feed dial between 2 and 2.25 depending on the fabric and the amount of gathering required. Place your fabric under the presser foot and sew, trimming off the excess. If more gathers are required, increase the needle tensions. Your mylock can also be used as a 2 or 3 thread serger. To sew a wide 3-thread stitch, loosen the lower screw and remove the right-hand needle and thread. To sew a standard 3-thread stitch, loosen the upper screw and remove the left-hand needle and thread. For 2-thread serging, you must attach the spreader. To do this, put the tip of the spreader into the rear of the hole on the upper looper. Slide the spreader down into the holder. For regular 2-thread serging, use only the left-hand needle and the lower looper thread. The lower looper pre-tension slider must be set at standard. The changeable thread guide must be set in the lower position at 2. To remove the spreader, pull the tab on the holder towards you lightly. Then push the bottom of the spreader up and pull it out. A plain overlock can be used to decorate your garment or finish your craftwork attractively. Use the standard or wide 3-thread stitch. Overlock the edge of the fabric using various decorative threads. Flatlock seams are used as a decorative finish on leisure and sportswear. Set your machine as for 2-thread serging by removing the right-hand needle and attaching the spreader. The lower looper pre-tension slider must be set at standard, and the changeable thread guide must be set in the lower position at 2. Now set your left needle tension at 0, lower looper tension at 3, and stitch length at 3. These tension settings may vary according to the type of fabric and thread used. Place the two pieces of fabric wrong sides together under the presser foot. Sew along, trimming off the seam allowance. When completed, gently pull the two pieces of fabric until the seam lies flat. When sewing a flat lock seam, a more attractive finish is achieved by threading the lower looper with a heavier or decorative thread. By flat locking pieces of fabric together at random, you can construct your own fabric design. To join squares or rectangles, flat lock all your seams in one direction. Cut the thread chains and complete the patchwork by flat locking the remaining rows in the opposite direction. If you want to sew a decorative ladder stitch, set your machine as for two-thread flat lock. Fold your fabric with the right sides together, and using a decorative thread in the needle and standard overlocking thread in the loopers, place your fabric under the presser foot. Use the right hand needle line on the presser foot as a guide. Sew along, being careful not to cut the folded edge. When completed, gently pull the fabric open until it lies flat and press. Now, using a bodkin and a narrow ribbon, weave the ribbon through alternate stitches. For a checkered effect, use narrower ribbon in contrasting colours. To attach the cloth guide, open the side cover and loosen the set screw. Slide the attaching plate onto the set screw from right to left as far as possible, and tighten the set screw. Loosen the adjusting screw and position the cloth guide on the front surface of the needle plate. Tighten the adjusting screw and close the side cover. Loosen the screw on the slider and adjust the cloth guide position to suit your needs. The cloth guide will enable you to maintain a constant seam width. It is also a very useful guide when flat locking on the fold and when doing pin tucking. Open the side cover and, taking the gathering attachment, rotate the arm towards you. Loosen the set screw and slide the gathering attachment onto the machine from right to left. Tighten the screw. Turn the balance wheel towards you until the needles are at their high point and the feed dog is fully raised. Loosen the thumb screw and raise the arm until you can rotate it onto the needle plate. Set the bottom of the arm to the height of the raised feed dog. Tighten the thumb screw and close the side cover.